Did God mean to punish some of us when he made our faces black? We were always taught that being jet black was a setback. Those honey browns and high yellows and brown paper bag tones always believed that the plum purples, dark browns, and dark soap tones were poor pitch tones. But the realization is that God made no mistake when he made the black tone. For you see, when he created the black tone, he was preparing us for every storm. Storms of oppression, storms of segregation, storms of humiliation, and storms of assassination. Despite those storms, those black tones continued to beat strong. Those black tones have created many strong faces. See, black tone fathers preparing their children when handouts were not enough. Black tone mothers holding the family together despite the modern auction slave block. Black tone children rising above the bar when the society that they were in had tried to tear them down. And black tone elders giving wisdom when others thought that they were ignorant. And black tone faces everywhere making a difference in the world, even though their faces cannot be seen. Rise up, my black tone sisters and brothers, and continue to hold on, for you have carried your burdens and you have built a nation. And now it is your time to come back stronger. And to those honey browns, high yellows, and brown paper bag tones, despite your light complexion, to the white beat, you're still a black tone. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Jason T. Mahoney, better known as The Motivator. I'm super excited that you have joined us this evening for a chat with the elders. Crafted to Motivate Limited Liability Company is excited that you're joining in with us tonight as we celebrate Black history, but we cannot celebrate Black history and hold up our torch without giving reverence, honor, and respect to our elders. And that is why we're here today, to talk with our elders to get wisdom, because they can tell us our history to help us move into a greater tomorrow. So we're going to go ahead and get things started, but I cannot get things started unless I first give out a shot to a Black business called Amelia's Jewelry Box in Sumter, South Carolina. Thank you for this awesome tie. And again, if you need any merchandise, men or women, please check out Amelia's Jewelry Box and get the fixing for your on Sunday morning, or even if you're going to have to be virtually live on Zoom or Facebook Live, they have the attire that you need. Again, that's www.ameliasjewelrybox.com. Let's support Black businesses. As you're listening, please like and share this live, share with your family, share with your friends. And we would also like for you to comment as well. We want to hear from you. And if you have any questions that you would like to ask to the elders on the panel tonight, please put them in the chat screen because we want to hear from you. Let us get things started. Again, my name is Jason T. Mahoney, founder and owner of Crafted to Motivate, a local business that provides consultation, web design, whatever you need with that organization that's going to help you. So let's get things started, and we're going to bring out our elders. And what's going to happen, give us some likes, give us some hearts as we get this thing started. I'm super excited because I love wisdom, and our elders, they have so much wisdom for us. So our first elder that we're going to call to the front is the one and only Dr. Dudley Mayers. Dr. Mayers, if you can come out for us, please. Hello, Dr. Mayers. How you doing?
Hello, Jason. I just appreciate the privilege of being here with you. You're such a motivator.
Thank you. And you motivate me. You motivate me. So, Dr. Dudley, if you can tell the listening audience just who you are and where you're located. And if you're okay, you can even tell your age. It's up to you.
Well, first of all, my first qualification, and the greatest qualification, I am a man of God. And God has given me a privilege right here in this season to found and be president of Global Chaplaincy Center, which is an organization that's training, selecting, training, motivating, and deploying chaplains around the world. It's late in life to start like that, but God is with me. The second qualification is I've chosen to be an ambassador of the spoken blessing. I realized the power of words. When I was much, much younger, I used to look for elders to share wisdom and knowledge and understanding with me. And now I find myself sometimes the oldest in the group. So I hope that accumulated wisdom is available tonight. Thank you so much for this privilege of being with you.
Awesome, awesome. And Dr. Dudley, where are you located? What city are you in?
I'm located it's called Mississauga, Ontario. It's closer to Toronto, Ontario, Canada.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Okay.
The center of the world.
Wow, wow. And this shows us how the worldwide network can work, that we can connect with anyone. And again, Dr. Dudley came in with the technology. So you young people out there that say you cannot work technology, Dr. Dudley can teach you some things about how to work technology and make it happen.
Not only that, but I've learned how to find the right people. And Jason has been stripped my website apart, gave me a brand new website. Now I can zoom around the world. And with price, so you just go to the website and you'll find out what's happening.
Awesome. Well, it is a joy working with you. So we're gonna call out another elder, and that's gonna be the one and the only Dr. Sandra Coley. Dr. Coley, come on out. How are you doing?
I'm fine. How are you, Jason?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. And I think you have adopted me as your son, or we just connected. I said you're gonna be my adopted mom. So who is Dr. Sandra Coley?
Other than Jason's mom, I am Dr. Sandra Coley. I am an adjunct professor at Shaw Divinity School in Raleigh, North Carolina. I am also the mom of an angel, meaning my son, Demetrius, who died about 12 years ago. So I'm the mom of an angel. I love people. I love young people. I'm very compassionate about the things that I do. Not only am I an adjunct professor, but I'm also a mentor, a friend, an auntie, a cousin, and everybody's eldris in the village. I love people, Jason.
Yes, yeah, and I can attest to that. You are angel on earth. You have a love and compassion for people, and when I see you, I just want to just hug you and be able to just say, you're just good people. So thank you for joining us tonight. And so now we're going to call up to the front. I had the opportunity to be on a panel with this young man, and he came with so much fire. And when he was talking, I said, I have to learn more about you and sit at your feet and learn. So he's a really young guy, but I really just want to sit at his feet and learn. And that is the one and only Dr. Warren Herdon. Dr. Warren Herdon, come on out so we can see you.
Thank you very kindly, Jason. As my other colleagues have already shared, that we are so privileged to have a young man like you who is looking and pushing for the next generation. So with that being said, my name is Dr. Warren Herdon. I'm a adjunct assistant professor. I'm also a retired hospital administrator. I also work as a program administrator for a program that is called the Rites of Passage program. This program worked with young African-American students 13 to 17 years of age. Also, in my spare time, I spend time writing, so I'm a writer, and then co-host at the North Carolina Central University WNCU 90.7, co-host to a program was called Community Connections. So as many of my colleagues have already shared, that there is so much work to be done. I'm excited to be a part of the village. I've traveled to 22 countries in 37 states and recognize the importance of African-American contribution, not only in the Americas, but throughout the world. And I look forward to a great evening sharing my wisdom, knowledge, and expertise.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Dr. Herdon. Definitely looking forward to working with you this evening. And so I'm super excited to bring out this next guest. How can we talk about the elders and we not have the motherland, Africa, on this panel? So I'm super excited to bring to the front this young man. He has a powerful story, and that is the one and only Mr. Ojo Tiobadi. Did I get it right? You're on mute, Mr. T.O.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Did I get it right?
Yeah, thanks for inviting me. Yes, my name is Ojo Tiobadi. Originally from Nigeria, West Africa. I came to Canada in 1972. And by the grace of God, I was the first African to join Toronto Police in 1979. I spent 35 years as a frontline police officer. And during that time, I was given the privilege of going to Canada Christian College, where I got my bachelor degree in theology. So I'm also an ordained reverend. And since my retirement, I'm now a chaplain for Toronto Police. And I'm just on the verge of finishing my first book, which is called Don't Give Up. I use that term, don't give up, to encourage young people everywhere in the world that nothing is impossible for the God that we serve if you put some energy into it, because in Jamaica, there's an old saying that if you want something good, your nose have to run. It doesn't matter where you are in the world. I don't believe in welfare. I don't believe in food stamps. I don't believe in any handout from the government. God gave me just as much brain as anybody else, and I'm going to struggle hard until I get what I want, because my Father in heaven owns the world and the heavens. So I've been retired now for about 6-7 years now, and I still give back to the community every day. Whatever they want to do, I'm there. And that's one of the things I also encourage our young people. Don't sit down at home saying it's not my business. It is your business, because you are going to be elders tomorrow. So the book should be coming out, my book should be coming out about May or June. So it's nice for me to be here. I really enjoyed it. It's the first time. Mr. Mahoney, just to let you know, you are the first human being alive to actually Zoom me, because I've never been Zoomed before. Thanks for inviting me.
So thank you so very, very much. Again, when I had the opportunity to virtually meet you and just read a little bit about your bio, I just feel really honored to really just be on this platform with you, because the wisdom and your story, when you told me your story, I was like, wow. And I hope we get to hear just a little bit about the story that when you had emailed me a piece of your story, and it was just amazing to let us know that perseverance is real. All we have to do is just do it. So the next person that we're going to bring out, this young lady, she's snazzy, she's jazzy, she's unapologetic, she's unbossed, she's unbrought. She's just a powerhouse. And I first met her virtually, and then we met for the first time face to face. I want to say maybe earlier this month, but she's an angel on earth, and just an awesome and amazing woman. So that's the one and only Dr. Linda Hubbard Curtis.
Hi, Jason. You are too much. You are too much.
So who is Dr. Linda Hubbard Curtis? Who are you?
Well, first of all, let me first say it is just an honor to be on a panel of such distinction. It is an honor, of course, to have our elder from the motherland. It is just an honor. So who am I? I'm Linda Hubbard Curtis. And I'm originally from Durham, North Carolina, and grew up during the Jim Crow era. And as a result of the Jim Crow era, my father decided to move us, his family, cross country to Los Angeles, California, to not necessarily get away from Jim Crow, because we had some issues there in Los Angeles as well, but to have a better growing up opportunities for us. But then I returned back to Durham, and I've been here over 45, almost 50 years. I just recently retired from St. Augustine's University, serving as the Vice Provost for Academic and Administrative Services. And after I retired, I opened a business. God said gave me the vision, all of the skills and the talents and the involvements that I have had with young people, to open up a business to help young people. Therefore, my business is H&C, Independent Educational Consultant. And here we provide all various services, from college coaching to career coaching. And we just opened up what we call over-the-shoulder instructional pod academy during the pandemic. And we just believe that having this type of interaction with our young people is very important, so they can still continue academically. And our motto is let's just do it. Going back to when I was a child growing up here in Durham, North Carolina, our teachers said to us, and of course we had old books, raggedy books, we didn't even know, but our teachers taught us. And a very good friend of mine, Nat White, unfortunately he's not able to be with us tonight, but our teachers would say, you can and you will. And that's who Linda Hubbard Curtis is. And I also want you to see that I'm a co-author of 7 Powerful Women Rising with the Sun Day by Day. And all you have to do is just go on Amazon and get it. It's a powerful book of testimonials of what it's like as a Black person actually going through such trials and tribulations and succeeding.
Wow. And I just want to say thank you so much, Dr. I'm always call you Dr. Linda. Dr. Linda, thank you so much. I hope our listening audience are really taking notes because every last one of you are doing such great things in the community, and you did not allow adversity to stop you. No, it was no excuses. You all did everything, kept it moving. So that's letting our young people know, listen, no excuses. Let's just do it. So now I'm going to call out one of my mentors, who I think is just a comedian, but gives the hard lessons, the hard conversation. And when you're talking with him, and if you want soft wisdom or soft feedback, he's not the person for you to talk to, because he's going to just really just tell you straightforward and keep it moving, wipe your tears and keep it moving. So that's the one and only one of my mentors, Dr. Ed E. Bell. Dr. Bell, come on out, Doc.
Jason, you talk so harsh about me, but nevertheless, I am so happy to be a part of this esteemed panel with these well-deserved discussants this evening. Just a little bit about me. I'm just a boy who grew up in the projects of New Bern, Q2 323 Craven Terrace, one of the housing projects. I am just a boy who was on free and reduced lunch. I am just a boy whose parents weren't high school graduates, but nevertheless they had college and university minds. I am just a boy who dared to dream. I am just that boy who retired in 2018 from the North Carolina Department of Public Instruction with 20 years of services, where many folks said 30 years was necessary. I am just that boy who continued to work. I teach part-time for Capella University, as well as I teach at NC State University. I am just that boy who has grown up with suit and tie, still on a mission to work and to uplift African-American males in particular and the community at large. So that's who I am in a nutshell. I'm just that boy, Jason, who grew up.
Wow. And I'm glad to know that person who's just that boy. So again, our listening audience, if you can please like and share, please add comments in the box. If you have any questions for the panel, please go ahead and put them in the comments so we can make sure and put them up there. So please put your questions, your comments, or anything that you would like to share to this particular panel. So we're going to go ahead and get things started. And I will say, if you all are looking and listening, please take a moment and just look at the faces on the panel. Look at this wisdom. This is history before your eyes. These are the individuals that we will read about in history books, not tomorrow, but let's read about them in our history books today, because we can write our own books, just as Dr. Herbert Curtis just showed us. You can write your own history books today. So we're going to get things started with an easy question first. And that question is simply, who was the person in your life that influenced you to where you are now? And Dr. Dudley, you can go first. Who is that person that influenced you in your life?
Thank you very much for that question. There were many people, but one of the things that pushed me along was one of my school teachers that told me I was stupid.
Mm.
But that pushed me along because the second thing that happened is when I found out, when we deal with Black History Month, when I found out that anyone who had a problem with my race, it was their problem, not mine.
Mm.
I learned that early in my, before, when I was around 20. And that propelled me that I was responsible for myself, my life, and that any help I could get to give me direction would be well appreciated, but nobody would get a chance to pull me down.
Wow. 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 When you said that that's their problem with your race, that's not mine.
No.
So you just dropped some nuggets there. You telling us that we don't need to take ownership of what somebody thinks about us.
Exactly.
Wow. 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 Thank you. Dr. Coley, who is that person that influenced you in your life?
The person that influenced me, Jason, was my mom. And it took a while for me to realize that. But my mom, I was 8 years old, and urban renewal came through Goldsboro. And so the section of town that we lived in, that I lived in Washington, with urban renewal, when they came through, tore up Little Washington. At that time, I'm 8 years old, and my mom decided to go back to school. So my mom packed up 5 children. We moved into Lincoln Homes, 923B Hughes Street. And we cried, me and my brothers and sisters. We were so upset. We didn't want to leave Little Washington. That's where all the family was. But my mom promised us, she promised.
Not sure what happened to Dr. Coley, but she'll bounce back on. So we will go with Dr. Herdon next. Dr. Herdon, who was the person that influenced your life?
Jason, thank you for that question, because when I look back at my life, the person who influenced me most, of course, was my mother and my father. Grew up in a very strict home, missionary Baptist parents. And then I never forget the next person who made a great impression in my life, which was my first grade teacher, believe it or not. And I tell this story quite often, and people sometimes don't think of it that way, but she had so much input and found something in me that began to start stirring it up, and I believed in myself. Moving on very quickly.
Okay, we've lost Dr. Herdon as well. There are some storms that are kind of going on right now, so it's in and out with electricity. So we're going to go on to Dr. Linda Hubbard Curtis. Who's that one person that influenced you in your life?
Again, also, thank you for that question. My parents. As I said earlier in my introduction, that my father moved us to Los Angeles, California during the Jim Crow era. And he, some years ago, maybe about 15, 20 years ago, some students from Duke, they were doing a project regarding Black Wall Street. And it was recommended that they speak to my father, who was at that time still living in Los Angeles. I was here. And in communicating, so the young students came over to our home, and interviewed my father about Black Wall Street. And somehow during his conversation about Wall Street, he gave an example of when my siblings, when we were young, wanting to go to Pullen Park. We lived in Durham and driving to Raleigh, and we wanted to go to Pullen Park. And during that time, you saw the sign, Black only, white only. Well, this time it was white only, and where we were sitting in the back seat, we couldn't see because we were in, I was like 10 years old. So, we were in elementary school. And I said, Daddy, let us stop. And he said, okay. On the way back, he was hoping that we would be asleep. And sure enough, the people that we were visiting wanted to visit, they weren't home. So they had to come back and drive back and to pass the amusement park, pulling park. And I said, Daddy, you said that we're going to stop. And my brother and I spoke about this not too long ago, and he and I never talked about it. But my father, in sharing this story with these young people, he looked with sadness in his eyes. And I remember that time, and I was surprised that he did, with sadness in his eyes, and said, we'll do it another time. My father had to lie to us. This is what that era did. And that's when he made the decision to take the leap. From that experience, that helped shape me in terms of, I'm not going to forget during that period, but I will also utilize that and to give back to the community what at that time, so whites thought that they had taken from us, that we did dare to be different. So it's my father that influenced me and his ancestors to be what I am today.
Wow. Wow. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for sharing that. So, Mr. Ojo, who influenced you? Who is that influencer for your life?
Well, I'm going to have to say as my mom and dad. And the way they influenced me was in the negative, to be honest with you. My parents in Africa never, ever owned a piece of land. They never owned a house. From the day that I was born, they were always renting. And until the day they died, they were always still renting. My parents were so poor that none of us, 7 of us, none of us were able to go beyond what we call grade 9 of schooling because they had no money to send us anywhere. But I always look at them and I wondered, why did people always seem to smile? Because to me, it was a stigma among my friends. And they are all going to high school and we were all just walking the streets because my parents could not. But my mom and dad were also smiling. So one day I asked my dad, why are you so happy, Dad? We don't have anything. Well, actually, my dad owned a bicycle. That was all he had. And he said to me, son, let me tell you one thing. Don't blame me for what I don't have. If you're not happy with what I have, you go ahead and do better than I did. And he said to me that what you cannot change, son, don't let it change you. I will not steal for you, for any of my children. I simply don't have. And what I have, I put on the table for you every day. I want to enjoy it, but go out there and do what I cannot do. And it was with that I started looking around, trying to educate myself by myself. I lived on the street in Africa for quite a while. And by the grace of God, in 1972, I had the chance to come to Canada. And I promised my dad when I left home that when I get here, I'm going to work hard and build a house for him and my mom. But before I can even settle down, in 1974, my dad was killed through a car accident. But I managed to bring my mom to live with me in Canada for about 23 years before she passed away. So they were the force behind me that said, just because we are poor does not mean you have to be poor. What we cannot do, you get out there and do it and make us proud.
Wow.
And that's what I did.
Wow. Again, some more wisdom. Your situation does not determine your next, but you have to be willing to change your situation. Wow. Wow. Dr. Bell, who is that person that influenced you?
Now, I know you say person, which means one, but as an elder, we take the liberty to say what we want to say. So I would say it began in the home with both parents. It began in the home with mother and father, and then it left the home where I was nurtured even more by a great aunt of mine. I can remember vividly as a little boy sitting in her house learning to spell the word concentration. And I told her that story before she passed away. Of course, she had forgotten about it. So she was an inspiration to me and for me throughout my life. She's the same lady, the same great aunt who entered the University of Pennsylvania in 1949 to work on a master's degree at that time, traveling from New Bern going to the University of Pennsylvania to complete a master's degree. So I watched her, learned from her, not only about education, but also about money, money, and the value and the saving and the investment. So in summation, Jason, I have been privileged to have strong Black women in my path. Strong Black women in my path that I credit with uplifting me, focusing me, directing me, be it even in the home or be it in the classroom. Because I remember in four of my high school English teachers, all Black women, strong, graduates from HBCU. And all three of those women had a profound impact upon my life and who I am as a person today.
Wow. So one thing that I liked that you said was you talked about the idea of strong Black women. And that speaks volumes because so many times individuals are insecure when they interact with strong Black women. And so the message you're letting Black women know is that it's okay to be strong. It's okay to be influential. And as Black men, we are to respect those, our sisters, our aunts, our grandmothers, our mothers, as the Black women that they are, because they are queens. So thank you for acknowledging the strength of Black women. So now we're going to get into a more intense question. And so I'm going to point this question. The question says, think of a life experience that you've had to face that was really harsh. What impact did it have on you? And what did you learn from it? That harsh situation that you've had in life. And from that harsh situation, what did you learn from it? And I'm going to go to Dr. Herdon for that. And then I'll call out somebody else that's jumping on that question. That harsh situation that you've had to endure in life, and what did you learn from it?
Jason, again, thank you for that great question. Wow. So many hard situations and difficulties. And as some of my colleagues have already stated, it was nothing but the in-depth understanding of a African-American child, me, when I first started working at Duke University. I retired from Duke University after 37 years. And I guess maybe the first most really difficult situation is I applied for a position actually before I graduated from North Carolina Central University with my undergraduate degree. I understood the importance of seeking a degree, but I was discriminated against. And it gave me just more effort to apply myself academically, to apply myself in leadership roles, and to spend more time in the library to understand what it meant to be a African American young gentleman working in a European American society and seeking to advance. So that experience in itself gave me the additional efforts that I know that I needed in order to compete in corporate America.
Wow. Wow. Thank you so much. Thank you. Dr.
Yes, sir.
Coley, same question for you. What is a harsh situation you've had to endure? How did it impact you? What did you learn from that?
The hard situation that I had to endure was the death of my son, my only child. That was horrible. That was horrible. And what I learned from that is broken crayons still color. Broken crayons still color. I learned that that strong Black woman that you just talked about, well, she's got a twin sister who's also named the strong Black woman, but the letters are not separated. Dr. Shaniqua Bonds did a book talking about the yoke and talked about the stress of the strong Black woman, the myth, the stereotype. We are strong space, Black space, women. But when it's written together, it crunches. And a strong Black woman can hurt herself if she's not careful. Trying to be the caregiver, trying to keep going, working under pressure. But it's important for us to realize that, yes, we are strong Black women, and never forget to take care of yourself. When I lost my son, I was thrown, felt like I was thrown to the ground. But what I've learned is more so than being that strong Black woman, I'm resilient. I'm like a ball. The analogy of the ball and the egg. You throw a ball to the ground, it's going to bounce back up. But if you throw an egg to the ground, it's going to crack and it's going to shelter. And what I learned in the experience is that grief is a cycle. Grief is a cycle. It can be 5 years from now. Something can happen. You can smell something. You can hear something. And it will remind you of that grief as if it happened yesterday. But because of the resilience that you gain through that experience, you become like a ball and you can bounce back. And that's what I want to share from my experience. Please know that you can bounce back. Take care of yourself. Give yourself self-love. Love yourself. It was hard. It was hard. It's not something you get over. And don't allow people to say, you should be over that by now. As long as that's been, you should be over that. No, everybody's an individual. We are individuals. And I'll never tell anybody, be strong. What I say to people now is, you fall apart and I'm going to be strong for you. We've got to learn the strong bear the infirmities of the weak. We've got to learn that in our community and begin to show that love and that strength to other people.
Wow. So I want to just put this out in the atmosphere, what you said. Broken crayons still color.
Yes.
Broken crayons still color. So everyone that is listening, you may be in a situation right now that has caused you some brokenness. But what Dr. Coley just let you know is that you still have value.
Yes.
Even in your brokenness, you are still valuable. So, wow, broken crayons still color. Wow. So our next question is, many of you are leaders in the community. I am sure it was not an easy task. How did you do it? And I want to point that question to Mr. Ojo, because if not mistaken, you are the very first African constable that was in Canada. So I'm sure that was not an easy task. How did you do it? How did you even get there to be the first?
I was actually not the first Black African to be in Canada. I was the first in Toronto police.
Wow.
So you have to mention a while ago that the highest I went education-wise was grade 9 in Nigeria. I don't know what that would be in the United States, but in Canada it was grade 9. And on the 19th of September 1972, I ventured out of my home and I was walking around on Jane Street in Toronto, just enjoying my new country. I've only been here for 3 days. But I ended up downtown and I was lost. So 2 white police officers saw me downtown in Yonge and Dundas, and they brought me home. They were worried the fact that I didn't even have a winter coat. And these 2 officers, white officers, and in those days there was still a little bit of tension between white and black. They dropped me off at home and advised me to get a winter coat. I promised I will. But 45 minutes later on, that same day, the 2 of them came back and they went and bought me a winter coat with their money and presented it to me free. And right there and then I thought, well, if these police officers are so good here, I want to be a police officer. The issue was I only have grade 9. So I went to George Brown College and asked them, what do I need to do to be a police officer? I have to have minimum of grade 12. So I registered at George Brown. But then while I was going house to house, cleaning, mowing the lawn, painting fences for people, I met this lady by the name of Florence Gale. And she allowed me to paint her fence. So at lunch, she spoke to me. I spoke to her. She asked me a lot of questions. And then she said, no, I should go and do my upgrading at Hubbard College. So she gave me a note. So 3 days later on, I took the note to Hubbard College. I met with Doris Talon. She looked at it, she called me in. And then she said, you know, the lady you spoke to says that although you only have grade 9, but she has told us that you do not need to take upgrading, that we should give you direct entry to the college to start doing your grade 12 immediately. And she said she believed that after interviewing you, she believed that you can do it. But she also put a safety net that if you can't, that Hubbard College must provide a tuition for you paid by Hubbard College for every class that you're having trouble with. And so I said, well, then she said, how long have you known the lady? I said, well, 3 days ago. And she said, well, you know, Florence Gale, who was also a white lady, apparently at that time was the chairman of Hubbard College. And that's how I entered Hubbard College. And I started struggling because in 1974, my first daughter was born. And I was struggling now with grade 9 doing college degree work. But by the grace of God, I was able because I just wanted to be a police officer so bad because of the good thing that those police officers did to me or for me. So I struggled and struggled. And by the grace of God, I was able to finish in 1978. And in 1979, I went to Toronto Police. I presented all my certificates and everything. And the chief looked at it and he said, you know something? For all the stories that I've heard you tell, I am happy to employ you and make you the first Black African to be Toronto Police. So what I'm saying there is that Jamaican, again, people, they said, if you make a mistake once, you are a fool. If you repeat that same mistake twice, you are a damn fool. But if you repeat that same mistake 3 times, you are a damn stupid fool. You cannot sit down. You've got to try. But don't think in terms, I know that there's lots of racism going on, and this racism we are talking about started from Africa, black on black. So here we have to teach our kids that do not have a chip on your shoulder. Everything that we have gone through, do not accept anybody, any white or Chinese or whatever, with that attitude that they are not going to employ me anyway. Go with your open mind and treat people individually. Because the 2 police officers that took me home and bought me a jacket, they were white police officers. The woman that gave me the opportunity to go to Hubbard College and put all the Hubbard College money behind me was a white woman. The chief of police that says, regardless of what's going on, you will be employed, was a white man. So what I'm saying is that it is a wrong thing, it's an unapproved thing by God for anyone to discriminate against anyone because of the pigmentation of your skin, but we must not just assume that this person is going to discriminate against me because I'm black or whatever. Go with your guts and let God be God.
Wow. So I love what you talked about, the struggle, because so many times people focus on the struggle and stay in that place and don't make any steps forward because they're always so focused on the struggle to get that attention, I would say. But you just pretty much let us know in so many words. Loved how you described it, that it's not an excuse. Not an excuse. Dr. Dudley, same question for you. You founded the Global Chaplaincy Center, which is worldwide. It is everywhere. I know it was not easy to get to your destiny, to get to your dreams. How did you do it? How did you get there?
Are you talking about now or then? Okay, I'll just go for it. A decisive moment way back in the day was that I traveled 3 days to get to Vancouver to go to school. And I thought I could get a student's loan and I could not. And I tried this, I had $70 and I tried, and then I ended up in the bread line. I reached the bread line. I said, no, this is not for me. I walked away from it, about 100 people after me. And from then, I decided I'll get to make it. So I stayed at school, worked a different job. And from then on, I knew that every stage of my life, I had to battle some journey that with the idea, as Brother Ojo said, it's possible I can do it. So fast forward, and throughout that journey, I became a food technologist, a food consultant, a researcher, and a businessman, owned businesses, and so on and so on. All of that happened to reach to this day. When I realized that we're losing it in this world right now, we have been given a gift. God has positioned us in this world right now to change the atmosphere, because that was our job from the beginning. Adam's job was to fix this world and make it right. So I realized that there's so many good people who are good Christians sitting on the benches of churches. They need to be recruited, mobilized, and deployed. And when I realized this, I had been doing this from the time I was a Christian 40 years ago without a title. I didn't know what it was. And then I found out the title, the appropriate title. I accidentally found out. Dr. Marie in Bahamas invited me to see her graduation. And then I said, I want to be a chaplain too. And then they said, take it to Canada. And I said, if we do it in Canada, it's got to be done the right way. And the right way was to train ordinary people with a good heart, a good love, a heart like Jesus, to become chaplains wherever they work, whether they work in business, in the media, in government, in just their family, just wherever they are, educators, business people, and have chaplains everywhere. And of course, God is a big God, and He says, do this around the world. So we're in the Philippines, we're in the Bahamas, we are going to England shortly. And people are saying, yes, this is the brand that we need. We need chaplains everywhere, wherever they are, with the right heart, well trained, to be able to deliver God's message to people wherever they are. Thank you.
Wow. 2 things you said, which I love. You said you were in the bread line and you looked around and you realized that was not where you were supposed to be. And that's so much wisdom for us, because so many times we get into the lines and we accept the handouts. Mm-hmm. And you let us know that we don't have to accept the handouts, because there's greater within us that we can do great things. And so who's listening out there, you do not have to accept your current situation. Get up and do something. And the other piece that you talked about was you connected with the right people. And that is so important, to make sure that who you're connected to are right for you and not to be connected to the wrong people. So thank you. So this question will focus on some education. So as we know, our Black and our brown children, they are so behind sometimes in education. So Dr. Linda and Dr. Bell, from an educational perspective, why is reading and writing so important for us as African Americans? And why are we not taking ownership for the problems in our community as far as it relates to education? Why is it important? And why are we not taking ownership to the point that we should to change our narrative for our Black and brown children? Why is it important? And why are we not taking that ownership? So Dr. Bell, you can go first.
Okay, thank you. Before I answer that question, Brother Jason, let me go back to one of your previous questions and conversation. I think this will help someone, because I had a discussion on this a couple of weeks ago on how to overcome traumatic issues or challenges that you might be facing. And people always ask me that I seem as though I'm never worried, that I'm always healed, so to speak. And I share with a couple of young folks that if when I am facing a situation, I know I'm going to face a situation that may be challenging, I always think the worst. And in thinking the worst, I already have my solutions and my strategies in place. I don't want ever to get into a situation that I am stressful, and then I have to come up with the solutions or the strategies to overcome. So if I know I'm going to face something, I am proactive and I sit in the moment where it's going to be traumatic. I sit there. And then I'm planning my way out of that situation. Now, I may not even get to that traumatic experience or that challenge that I'm facing, but I never want to put myself in a position and I'm looking and struggling to answer. So, getting back to your questions for reading and writing and ownership, I say that reading and writing is critical. It is important. It is something that is critical. Now, also, I will say this: not only can't some children write, some professionals can't even join two sentences together that are coherent, and so that's a biggie. Now, when I was in school, it was a requirement to read and to write logically and have a coherent sentences. But I think there are communities who are doing the work. I'm doing the work. When I used to operate in an after-school program, I did the work to make sure that the students who came to the after-school program that I operated knew how to write and knew how to read. And so I think from my perspective, there's a lost art in teaching writing. As a college professor now, I see it, and I'm wondering what happened to the basic sentence construction, the basic mechanics, and so those things are missing. But I encourage parents and grandparents of those who are working with children, not only the children, but you have some grown folks who cannot conjugate a verb as well. And so we just have to add it more and more and more and do more of it. And we cannot leave all things to the school. And some things we have to do in the village.
That's right.
Sure, that Raheem can read and Raheem can comprehend and that LaQuisha can write a sentence that makes sense. So we have work to do, but I think a lot of people, I'm doing the work, and a lot of people also doing the work.
I must say, should I go on, Jason?
Yes, ma'am.
Dr. Bell, you just took everything that I wanted to say, but you said it better, eloquently. But to continue the conversation, Education is so important, and especially now during this pandemic. A year ago or some months ago, I was on a panel, and my area that I was asked to talk about was the area of education. And one of the things that I said, and I will say it today, I have been in education for 45 years, and I'm still in education. That why all of a sudden, when this pandemic occurred, that everybody is talking about the children are going to be behind. The children were behind pre-COVID. I didn't hear anyone talk about that other than those of us who are in the Black communities and trying to and looking at ways of helping our young people succeed academically. We have an opportunity and an obligation right now. God has given us a small window, mind you, to do something for our young people. And in doing so, we must take control of our educational system that was not designed for us to succeed. The school that we have, the instructional academy, Pod Academy, looking over the shoulder of the students as they are doing this online learning. We have got to understand that this is a new, yes, it's difficult, but it's like a language. We have to know how to do it. And parents, as you are listening, you have the obligation, the investment to make sure that your child will succeed. We can, and there are resources out there. I live in Durham. Our school, Instructional Academy, is in Durham. You must take the reins right now and to say, listen to me, my child is going to learn, like my teacher told me, Linda Rose, you will learn how to read either sitting in this chair or on the floor, because I would always fall on the floor. You're going to learn how to read. And that's what it is. And we do not, Blacks and brown, Asians, we do not look for the others, because we have enough people. Look at this panel. We have enough people right now that can provide the resources and the support.
Wow. Absolutely. And what I heard from both of you is about taking accountability. Parents take accountability, students take accountability, and there are no excuses, because everyone on this panel demonstrates that it can happen. So I want to go to Dr. Herdon. So Dr. Herdon, your question is kind of I can't wait to hear the first, but what was your very, very first job, and how did it prepare you for where you are now?
Job at Duke University as a young high school student was a menial task of ensuring that the students at Duke University receive their furniture and to ensure that food was moved around the university. If I had not been taught by my parents and my community, I would not have been successful in that particular job. Here's what I found. Two things that I found. Number one is that I would have to make sure that I did not spend the rest of my life in a menial job like that. Not that the job wasn't good, but I saw myself learning and growing into the business leader that I saw my oldest brother. And that's why I completed that job. entered into North Carolina Central University in the School of Business and recognized that in order for you to be successful, it has to come from within. And I learned from that menial job the importance of working hard as you build your life and your life career.
What I learned from you is that we have to take control. We look at, assess our situation where we are, and then take control for our next. But we make the decision to either stay in those situations or make a transition. So everyone needs to make those decisions. So it is already the top of the hour, and this panel was really good, and there were lots more questions, and we have a lot of comments. We did a lot of likes and shares, but it's over. I think we're gonna have to do a part 2 because individuals are asking for more. But I want to say thank you all for joining my little self on this platform, because I love wisdom. And my grandmother used to say that, and I'm not calling you all old, but my grandmother used to say, old people will bless you, or they'll put bad mouth on you. Your actions toward them will be the decision. Are you gonna get bad mouth on you, or are you gonna get some blessings on you? So I always was taught to respect my my elders and older generation, because I want all the blessings from every last one of you all on this panel. And that's just the reality of it. And I believe in that wisdom and the blessings can come from our elders. So as we wrap out, I would like for each one of you all to just drop a word of wisdom, a nugget, something that our listening audience can just take with them on their journey in life. So I'm going to start with Dr. Coley. If you can just share your wisdom nugget for the listening audience.
What I want to share with the younger people, I want to speak briefly. Racism. It was here before you came. It was here in America. It is intertwined with our systems, our government, political system, economic systems, yes, even religion. It is entangled with our country. It's in our nation. It's not your fault, and you do not have to feel in any ways guilty about anything. Hold your head up, keep moving. Stuff is going to happen. But like I spoke on earlier, be resilient. Stay awoke. Be wise. Stay awoke. Look around you. Hold your head up and keep moving. Systemic racism is here and will be here. Stay awake and keep moving. Don't allow anybody to stop you. Don't allow anybody to change your mindset about who you are and your ability to get there. And God bless you all.
Dr. Herdon, you're next. What is that wisdom nugget that you would like to share with us?
My wisdom nugget is something that most people probably have heard many times, but I want us to walk slow when we think about this. Do not allow anyone to tell you that you can't accomplish your goal. If not you, then who? You are an overcomer.
Thank you. Next, we will hear from Mr. Ojo. What is that wisdom that you have for us?
Well, I just like young people to, as a police officer, I dealt with a lot of young people, and I put about 210 of them in the Army cadets here. And out of that 210 of them, by the grace of God, I was able to see 30 of them became police officers. Yes, I have heard, lots of young people have told me that why my father was never there for me. And unfortunately, This is so true in many of our Black communities. But for you young people, even if your father was never there for you, even if your mom was only there for you, I don't want you to use the fact that your father was never there for you to become a vagabond on the street, to abandon school, to do stupid things. No, you should be the other way around. Go to school, stay in school and keep the peace, and show that your dad, who was never there for you, that with or without him, you can do it. Educate yourself. If you want any encouragement, there's a show in America that they call 48 Hours. I want you young people to find time to watch that. And I have never been politically correct in my life. I've always been God correct. If you watch that show 48 Hours, you will find that many of the kids that are killing each other are Black like me. Then you tell yourself, that's not going to happen to me. I am going to do better. Whether my dad is there or not, I am going to find a pastor of the church, find an elder in your community, bond with them, let them teach you what your father cannot teach you. And even if you are afraid that someone out there is going to be against you, remember that God is always going to love you. He said he will give you an expected end, but you also have to carry your cross and follow him. And if I can do it, you can do it.
Wow. Thank you. Next, we will hear from Dr. Edward E. Bell. What's that nugget that you want to drop with us today?
Well, a couple of things, Jason. We must begin to actualize the village concept. We, as old as well as young, I say to both groups, we have to look out for one another, do a better job. I'm reminded of something that I always quote by a German pastor, and he talks about which makes sense even today. And we have to look out and be accountable for each other. When they came for the drunk, I didn't care because I wasn't a drunk. When they came for a person who had a felony record, I didn't care because I didn't have a felony record. When they came for the juvenile delinquent, I didn't care because my child was not a juvenile delinquent. When they came for the transgendered, I didn't care because I didn't have a transgender in my house. But when they come for you, who will be there to speak for you? Mm-hmm. So we as a community, to the young and to the old, we got to actualize the village concept. We have to look out for other people. We have to. It is a mandate. And so we cannot be selfish in our doing if we're going to achieve and not bring everybody with us as we cross. The second thing, as I sit here, I am what other folks thought was impossible. I shouldn't be. And so you have all the possibilities. You have all the things that can be possible. Preparation, determination, and this word here, grit. G-R-I-T, grit. You may not get there when I get there. But I declare, if you stay the course, you'll get there. I am not Dr. Bell because I was a genius or academically superior to anyone else. The only reason I'm sitting here as Dr. Bell because I had something that's called grit, G-R-I-T. I knew if I stayed the course, I would get it. So we don't live in a microwave world. So it takes time to get it. But once you have it as a result of grit, you are possible and you can defy all odds. And in conclusion, and I leave this wisdom because I share this with my son as well. It's something that we have to share with other folk, our children, as well as the older folk as well. We have to tell the truth about situations. We have to tell the truth. And I said to my son one time and other children, What shall I tell my black boy who lives in a skin of blackness? What shall I say? I shall always tell him the truth. And so we need to get in a habit forming personality as young people and old people. Be truthful with your situation. Be honest where you are. And don't let anyone take something away from you. Truth. And I say this often. My son had a learning disability. He was academically inclined. So I had to give him truth and say, listen, we have learning disabilities. You have academic deficiencies. Truth. But you are possible. And so we have children, we have young people who just think that they are not possible. But I declare to you, my son is a principal today at an elementary school because his life is possible. So young folks and old folks, you are possible. It can be done. Grit, determination.
Wow. Wow. Thank you. Thank you. Dr. Dudley, what is that wisdom that you want to give to us?
It's for the young people and for every one of us here. Find an elder to bless you. I learned this, and when my father was 92, he died in 94. I went to him. He was living in another city, and I said, I want you to bless me. He says, I pray for you every day. I said, thank you very much for praying for me every day, but I want you to bless me. He says, son, how do I do it? I said, well, the Jewish culture, they understand this. And here's how you bless me. And I told him how to bless me. And he put his hands, and I instructed him on how to bless me. From then on, he started telling people that he's my natural father, but I'm his spiritual father. So before I leave here, I want to bless every single one of us, because God intended for us to live a blessed life. He had blessings for us when we were in our mother's womb, and blessings when in our preborn days, at the time of conception, at birth, at infancy, teen years, adult years, and senior years. And we have missed it. Black people, we know how to pray. But when Jacob was lying with his head on a rock, he was watching angels go up. They were taking the prayers up to heaven, and angels were coming down. The angels coming down were bringing blessings for us. So many of us have lived through different stages of our lives without being blessed. It's not too late. It's not too late. Find an elder to bless you, and if you can't, bless yourself. So I'm going to bless you tonight, and take this as a deposit, but learn the power of a spoken blessing and exercise with every person that you know, especially the young people. That will break all the chains that bind us. I want to bless you a simple blessing, as a Jewish blessing, of Manasseh and Ephraim. And Jewish people get about 1,000 blessings by the time they reach teenage years. The blessing of Manasseh is to forget the pain of the past, even the pain of your father's house. And the blessing of Ephraim, which his grandfather gave to him, was that you be fruitful and prosperous in your future. So may God make every single one of you forget your pain of the past, even the pain of your father's house, and remember that God has promised you to be fruitful and have a prosperous life now and forever. May God bless you and richly bless you. Receive it. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Amen. Thank you. Wow. Dr. Linda, you're going to close us out last but not least.
All righty. Tough, all the people before, my colleagues before. Very, very quickly, young people and parents that are listening. When I was getting my doctorate, preparing for my doctorate, this was back in 1981, and I finished in 83 and graduated in 84. And those who have gone through the process, you do know that many times you have to take there is a what do you call the comprehension exam. And before that, your committee, if they choose to, will tell you what to study for, because you're getting a terminal degree, you're getting a PhD, so you are to be knowledgeable in that area. And this particular area for me was education, educational leadership, and special education administration. And one of my professors told me what to prepare for. And I spent the whole Christmas time just reading everything that I was supposed to read in special education to know it cover to cover. And the night before the exam, a friend of mine was preparing. She was preparing for a rehabilitation exam. It's the same thing for her comps. And one of the questions that we went over was retrogression. And we went through that and et cetera, et cetera. Okay, so I go into the testing site, as we called it. And when I opened the envelope and pulled out his envelope, pulled out the questions, when I looked, I had to get up and walk out, because it wasn't nothing that I had prepared for, studied for. He told me what it was. And I went to the chair and I said, this is so unfair. Now, mind you, this is in 82, this was in Illinois, and again, racism was alive and well. So I just calmed myself down and I went back and I looked at it, and it just so happened that the question was the one that I helped my friend to prepare for. And so I remembered once I pulled myself together. So here's the nugget. Be prepared for the unexpected. Be prepared for the unexpected. You can prepare, you can study, but be prepared. And throughout my years teaching at graduate level, everywhere, I would always put a question that they didn't have any idea about. And I would say, always be prepared. Young people and parents, be prepared for the unexpected. We are now living in an unexpected time. So be prepared. But as you are preparing, you know what you need to do. Don't fall apart. You may have to do that for about 10 seconds, because I did. I said, oh my God, are you kidding me? But then when I pulled myself together and prayed to God, because that's the only one who got me through that.
That's right.
Let's be clear. I was able to do it. Be prepared for the unexpected. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you. And to our listening audience, if you can give some hearts, some loves, some just comments about how you're feeling. I know for me, I'm really and truly, I'm on fire right now. I really feel that I can accomplish anything that I set my mind to because of this wisdom that was poured out. And we may have to do a part two, because so much wisdom is here. And I believe that young people, as well as some older adults, need to hear this, because we're at a point in our life where we're being challenged. And we need that the old folk, you say, just give me a little fire and keep on churning. I hope I got that right. But you all are really giving us that fire to keep us moving. It's almost like I'm really just so energetic right now, but I appreciate that. So listening audience, take a picture of the screen. What you have seen this evening is history. History, history, history. You will remember these names for years to come. Celebrate Black history, celebrate your elders, and celebrate the person that you see in the mirror. Be Black, but most of all, be Black and be proud. Take care. Have a good evening. God bless. Stay happy, healthy, and safe. Until then, see you next time.
Thank you, Jason.
Thank you.